Good morning. So I saw the film yesterday. I think it's a great story, and I think the collectives of transgender people need much more attention because, especially in this country, they have very little rights. I mean, in Europe it's different. Like the medium of the European people accepting transgender people as people, because it's horrible, and it's 84% is very high, which is great. But I think this film will help to open up and to bring people to accept who we all are without restrictions. Was that your intention? Sorry, my question was too long.
No, it was no. It was I think that certainly was our intention. I mean, early days of developing the story came along when, really took a hold when we were speaking with Celia Harrison, who's in the film, but she was really important in the early days of the writing process. And she wanted to see a trans character who was a badass, who was kind of a superhero, who wasn't just a tragedy story. So I think our real goal was to hit that mark. And then I think so much of what's good about the film kind of flows from there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think.
Sorry,
please.
Oh no, I do recall early conversations with other filmmaker collaborators when we were first running this idea by them, like, oh, we want to make a film in New York City, and this is the story, and we're gonna have an immigrant story and a transgender identity, and it's gonna be human trafficking, and there's of course a sex worker in it, and they'd be like, so you're making a film about everything? And we're like, oh well, we're not trying to, but those are just the things that we were trying to explore. And as we've discussed in other interviews, it really was the team, the talent that allowed us to explore and learn from it and brought it to life. We just knew we were curious about these things. I have no idea what it's like to be an immigrant. I have no idea what it's like to deal with some of these issues. But if we work with those who have lived experience and who are brilliant artists, then they'll bring it to life. And we were so lucky that happened.
I think it's a great tribute to. I think LUPE is a great tribute to the right to find your own identity and be not only respected by the world, but respected by yourself, which sometimes is the hardest part. I don't know if Rafael and Kerry want to say something about this. You're invited if you want.
Yeah, of course. It's funny that you said that, because I feel like that's the reason why this movie resonates with everyone. Like everyone that will watch this would feel drawn into this character, because it's a movie of reclaiming power and stepping into your true authentic self. And I feel like that's something that absolutely everyone struggles with. And me personally, I started my process also with this film of identifying myself as non-binary. And it started by being able to explore and discover my femininity with this movie. And I feel like a lot of those moments of self-exploration of the character were very real for me, because that self-exploration was coming from a really, personal and real place, which, just gives credit to the importance of this film and why we need more movies like this that champion and tell the stories.
Yeah. How important, how important, Kerry, was it for you to be part of the project? In a way, you're guiding, in a way, right?
Well, I was advising, not guiding. I was helping out and giving suggestions.
Sorry, I used the wrong word, but advising.
No. You used the right word. I was just sort of helping you out with the fact that, I had a process that went through this movie. This movie allowed me. I'm a late transitioner. I didn't transition until I was 48. I did it at a major corporate company, Disney, and it just came at a beautiful time when I had to discover things about myself and work through them, and seeing things reflected back off the screen at me, that with Rafael and Celia talking and discussing things. They mean so much to me right here in my heart, that how could I not wish to stay involved, and how can I not wish to give my input to these people and discuss things? Because initially I was just brought in as someone to look at an edit and give notes. And it took me, Shiran, the editor, she came to me and said, please take a look. And 3 days later, she says, "What are you doing? I haven't had any notes yet." And I said, "Well, I can't give you notes until I stop crying." You know, it was this whole thing. It was like, it was visceral, yet it was beautiful. There were just so many things in there. So to advise, if you like, I say we've spoken about, there's a couple of scenes which, you know, on Chuck and Andre were like, "Oh, we think this is too long," and I'm going, "No, it's not too long. When you've lost everything, when you don't have family, you don't know where you belong, you don't know what you are and how you're going to be, and you're trying to be genuine, those moments aren't long enough. You need to extend them and let people sit with it, because yes, it feels uncomfortable, but because it feels uncomfortable, you're feeling something."
You know, I appreciate that, because while watching the movie, I felt, oh, this scene could be long, but then you stay there because we're used to this idiotic thing of moving every 2 seconds.
Being entertained.
Yeah, and then I thought, oh my God, I'm really getting into the story. I'm trying the dress. I'm opening the closet. I'm doubting. I'm getting angry. I'm feeling all these things. So I think the rhythm of the film was perfect. Andre and I keep calling you Claude Charles.
All right.
So yeah, the rhythm was good. Was it? But I understand how you were saying, well, this could be slow, because you're confronting a culture in which speed and things, we don't go deep in anything, no?
Yeah, it's, you know, and that's something that I think initially we were kind of self-conscious about as filmmakers, right? Because this is our first feature film. You know, we've done shorts, we've done other projects, we've done coming forward. But, you know, there's so much that goes on between the translation of, you know, from script to screen and how that goes. I think, you know, in the early days, we were really subconscious. You know, we had these dialogue scenes that we know why they're important. We can feel that, we can see the intensity between these characters, and they're talking about things that are really unique and intense and new for people. But you know, you do have that self-consciousness as filmmaker. Am I dragging this? Is this being dragged out too long? Or are people going to want to? Do people really want to watch this dialogue scene next to a window where two characters really hash something out about their past? You know, I think what many things saved us. But you know, I think, like you said, I think the content ended up being genuine and interesting and something that draws people in. You know, and I think Sharon, our editor, did an incredible job weaving those conversations together. I think our cinematographer, Tiax and Fitzgerald, did a great job. Our sound people, Matt King and Francisco Latore down the road, like everybody did such a great job of capturing the things that needed to be captured. So those kind of long scenes, I feel like end up working really well, especially when you see the final piece.
Yeah.
I want to say something like, I mean, we're all a little determined, but not completely by our past. We have the tools and the possibilities to liberate ourselves and create whoever we want to be in the future. I'm not the same person that my parents wanted me to be. And I think for Rafael is the same. So how important and how difficult was it for these characters to break with the norm of the past in a macho, patriarchal, fucked up society and get into a world of liberation? That's what I liked about the film. I felt liberated because I'm gay. I'm not trans, but I'm gay, and for me it was tough to get out of the closet.
Of course.
I didn't stay too long, but you know, it was
Difficult,
but it was tough.
Yeah.
It's funny you were saying, you know, all of us aren't what our parents expect or wish for us, you know, but some of us do it in a more spectacular way. You know, so but for me, neither of my parents are alive, and they never got me to see me succeed. All they ever saw was just the troubles and the strain and the confusion that I went through. But this film, I've used it as a vehicle to actually reconnect with other family. And I was just saying, this last weekend, I actually came out to my 3 children in the UK as transgender. I've been estranged from them for a number of years, and using this film and saying, hey, I've been involved with the film, it's getting some interest, it's getting some press, spoke with them about the community, and then just said, oh, and by the way, just so happens that I'm a trans individual myself. And we did a video call, which we haven't done for years. And it's just beautiful to be able to use films like this and and the narrative that they thread and so forth, and discussions that come up from it to actually help us move forward as a group and individuals and as a collective.
That's beautiful. And what was the kids' reaction? Well, I don't know how they are, your children, whatever age they are, doesn't matter.
Well, I'm going to age myself now. My eldest is 27. My middle daughter's 25, and my other son there was 17.
Wow.
But the funny thing was one, they didn't seem at all surprised.
Yeah,
they've always had
that's cool.
colored hair and eyeliner and nail varnish. But also the other thing was, my eldest took it as an opportunity for her to come out as bisexual with me. So it was a really, really nice sort of family moment where, their mother isn't very fond of me. But, it's like, but we had a moment where we came together and we had a really nice discussion, and something I'd never have had or felt emboldened to do if I hadn't had this opportunity with the film to talk about the film first as a sort of vehicle to get me there.
So Rafael, in the story, I mean, it's a trip, it's a journey, but at the beginning, I thought you were like a typical sexy heterosexual, and then suddenly you're the typical sexy transgender person.
That happens to me in my personal life.
So you're mega sexy, doesn't matter.
You're this like cis Latino macho man until I put the wigs.
That's
or
cool.
until I get in those high heels.
You know how to use the high heels too. It's hard. I tried it.
Oh my God. I walk better in high heels than in tennis shoes. It's not even funny.
It's funny. And so how well received was this film? Festival platforms. I heard this. I know it was very well received. And how do you feel about it, Andrew and Charles?
We were so blessed with the Cinecrest premiere. I think Rafael brought an entire bus of fans.
Yes, it was in San Jose, and I was living in San Francisco at the time, and I came in a party bus with like 50 of my friends.
Oh, great!
Fantastic, full house, and it was so much energy and so much love in the room. We were nervous. Me and Andre sat in the back of the theater with a beer, like scared, having never had a festival premiere. But fortunately, we had festival pros like Kerry and Anthony Ambrosino and other producers with us. And not only was it a great premiere, but it was a fantastic way to actually meet for the first time the post team that we had been working with for ages. Kerry, Sharon, Sam French, Sound Mixer Sam, and all these folks that had just been helping the film and making the film. And we went from having like these Skype meetings to actually meeting them all at once at the premiere, and also getting to see Rafael again after a few years, getting to see cast members. It was phenomenal.
I'm sorry. I love the fact that an immigrant could be invisible. I'm saying I was an immigrant too. Well, I am an immigrant, but I don't feel invisible right now. But at the beginning, when Rafael gets to New York, he's invisible like all the other people and also as a trans, he's invisible. So in a way, you're analyzing the invisibility of someone who needs to be visible to be accepted by who he is at both levels. Or is it too profound of a question? Maybe I'm too no, I love to analyze things like
no, at all. No, I think that was very much intentional. I mean, Rafael, you can tell when we.
Well, I always say that the most important thing that you can do for an individual is making them feel seen, and that speaks into any level. And also like right now, like with all the spectrums of identities and genders and how our community is evolving. Like there's so much listening that needs to happen, and there's so much full acceptance. If someone describes themselves as something to you or introduce themselves as something to you, don't make it about you. They're trying to feel seen. They're trying to reclaim who they are, and it should always be a moment of connection, a celebration for both parties.
Yeah, and I'd also like to say is, especially in the climate that this was filmed in and the post was being done in, we're in a climate where people within our community was being dismissed, was being marginalized, was being put into a ghetto, and that's something we shouldn't do. You know, we should all have these stories, and we should tell people, because we are human and we just want to be loved, and we want to love others too. And using sort of this film as a vehicle to get that across on so many different levels is just beautiful.
I think society is very limited because since it's patriarchal, capitalistic, and all that, they only see boys and girls, but reality has changed. It's not only about boys and girls. It doesn't matter what kind of genitalia you have, I think.
It's about us all being genuine human beings that love each other. Or if we have disagreements, it's more of a disagreement rather than just how we look, but actually about ethics and political views. You know, we shouldn't be making I'll say that again. We should not be making snap judgments on just how we perceive and see somebody. It's actually about the engaging and talking that's important.
Do you feel that there's more and more tolerance in the world? Thanks to films like this one, let's say.
Oh yeah, I'd say that having this on a platform like HBO, we are very, very fortunate. We're very blessed that they're allowing us to do this. And I believe films like this, and we have an opportunity with a film like this and doing press such as this, to actually say, hey, it's not just about a transgender individual. It's about immigration. It's about belonging. It's about loss. It's about family. And it's just about love, you know? And it works on so many different levels. And hope, yes. And self-acceptance, as you put out before. And the fact that, you know, films like this are coming forward and HBO are taking such a gamble and putting it forward. Yes, we need more. We need more narratives like this to get a conversation going.
Yeah, I felt that, I don't know, I identified with every aspect of, you don't have to be transgender to identify with the characters. You just have to be a person.
Yeah.
And you can bring it into your own experience, right? I think that's what makes it universal. Could the directors comment on the universality of the story to avoid the ghettoizing of the movie?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to, you know, we can try. But I think the universality, I think there is, you know, and this is something that really struck me early on in our conversation as we started to develop the story, was there's a lot of things about our identities or ourselves that we're born with or that we deal with, right? And that can be socioeconomic status, that could be race, that could be gender, that could be sexuality. There's all these things that have, especially for large periods of human history, been sort of intractable and unchangeable, right? You couldn't really be from somewhere. You're always from the land or the place or the clan that you were from. You're always going to be this one gender. You're always going to be this one thing that you were when you kind of came out of the, you know, when you first came into existence. And people do all kinds of things every day that are in defiance of that, or are incredibly life affirming, or sort of, you know, taking back that control, or even just trying to take back that control is a fairly radical act sometimes. And I think, so I think the universality is, even though to many people, the concept of being trans, or even knowing someone who is trans openly, because I think many people do know someone who would identify as trans, they're just not allowed to be open. But, you know, despite that character being so unique in the world in so many ways, I think that desire to reach out and kind of make what they are be a reality outwardly, I think is extremely universal. And I think the desire to find and connect with or defend or whatever with our family members, I think is incredibly powerful. I think now more than ever, people are from all over the world. I mean, I grew up with folks, you know, I grew up in a town that I used to get beat up because I had a different sounding name compared to everybody else that I grew up with when I was a little kid, to being from a place where literally everybody at my lunch table was from a different continent, right? With the exception of like Antarctica. So like things are changing. People are from all over the place and people are moving all over the place. You know, that universality is just growing stronger as we go along. So
yeah, and I'd like to back that up with the fact that, you know, everybody is unique and everybody gets picked on or chastised for whatever their uniqueness is. Whereas, you know, seeing something like this and knowing that we can be accepting and be genuine is just so important.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to, like, Isabel, would you say that Isabel symbolizes the past that will never be intruding into the future or into the moment. That's what I felt when the search for Isabel was a little, the fear of jumping into the future and
Well, for me, it's like really
clinging.
beautiful. I feel like the character of Lana, like, puts it like the best in the movie. It's like you're putting this as an excuse to not like deal with you. You know what I mean? It's like it's that thing that we do to ourselves, like that resistance, you know, like that, you know, not letting go, and that causes so much suffering because we're so attached to a story we have told ourselves. You know, it was like almost like, you know, all my happiness at some point, like you feel in the movie, that like kind of rest in the finding of the sister, you know, like, but like, is it really, you know, is it really, or is it just the excuse, you know, to not do the work, or to not, you know,
I think it's an excuse to cling to the past because
yeah, to not
the unknown,
face, you know, to not face what you need to face. You know, it's like, you know, like living here in West Hollywood and dealing with all this, like, you know, dating life, you know, like,
you live in West Hollywood?
yes, I'm like, all of you need therapy, Jesus Christ.
I just
Can we,
moved out.
like, can we get in a circle and hold our hands and, like, you know, address that everything's gonna be okay?
I
It's
just
like
moved
no
out.
one is dealing with their shit.
Yeah, it is exactly. I found the internal judgment from the community inside West Hollywood something really hard to deal with. So, you know, and it's just
because
why
again,
do
because
we
no
have-
one is truly dealing what they have to, and they have all these other excuses or clinginess, you know, like creating all these narratives. Because it's in, like, in a way, people think that it's easier to like hold to a narrative than to like do the work that you need to do, to be authentic, to be yourself, to like heal, to accept others where they are, you know, to not have expectations.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
Yeah, it is. It's like, you know, we were talking earlier on, it's just like the judgment within our own community is just huge. You know, why do we have to go around judging ourselves?
Well, I mean, because again, like we grow with that damage, you know, like we all grow with that damage, but it's at this point, we're grown-ups. It's on us to like go and deal with our shit. You know, get your asses to therapy, people.